I speak in support of Dan Hughes.
It's an honor to be here in support of your Acting Chief Dan Hughes.
I'm Minor Duncan, and I'm here to encourage you to select Dan Hughes as our next Chief of Police of Fullerton.
And I've spent a lot more time looking at the FPD and particularly at Dan Hughes.
But I don't think you're going to find a better person than Dan Hughes.
Dan Hughes has the respect, admiration, and cooperation of the community.
I do not want to hesitate in my support of the work that Danny Hughes has set up in regards to my desire to be there for the homeless.
I look for a self-starter. I look for someone who can keep their word.
I really think Dan Hughes would be a great candidate.
I've watched Danny Hughes for the last year approximately. He has all those qualities.
Dan, you're a fine gentleman. You're a consummate employee. You're a dedicated man, and I fully, totally, and completely support you being made permanent police chief tonight.
I've known Dan Hughes since he was a cadet. You couldn't ask for a finer person.
Dan Hughes is an awesome. He's been with the department since I think he was 15 years old. He started as a explorer, went all the way up through the cadet program.
He has the support of his troops. That's very, very important.
And he's increased interaction between the community and the department, and he's had a willingness to speak with all factions of the community, I think.
I have had many interactions with him, many observations with him in the last couple of years, asked him all kinds of policies and procedures, all kinds of questions. And I've been very impressed with him.
He's an honorable, principled Christian man. He is a unifier, not a divider.
Dan Hughes. He is a man of honor. He is hardworking, is true to his word, and is a man of integrity that I highly respect and admire.
He had integrity. He was smart. He was courteous. He was helpful. He was everything.
And the most important quality that they have is being a true leader and knowing their community. Dan Hughes has those qualities in vast quantities.
I think we've learned that Dan Hughes, for the most part, by most people in this community, is viewed as a man of principle, ethics, honor, and one who follows the law.
But with his dignity, respect for the community.
You love Fullerton. I mean, you look at his face, and he loves Fullerton.
He's born and raised here. He has a love of Fullerton. Who else can fill his shoes?
He has proven himself to us. We know him. We know where he comes from.
This is somebody who's grown up here. This is somebody, a man that I've grown to respect.
In this case, you have someone that's from within the community, someone that knows the ins and the outs, someone that has the support of his officers, and is highly respected within the community.
The man bleeds Fullerton blue.
We have Danny, Acting Chief Hughes, but he likes us to call him Danny. I know that because he's a hometown guy, and he's one of us, and he's one of you.
Dan Hughes knows this community. He knows its people, its traditions. He knows about the crime that goes on. He's turned many detractors into supporters. In fact, I think Dan's not only a keeper of the peace, he's a maker of the peace. And that's a great attribute in someone in that position. It almost sounds...
I would have to say that maybe 2 out of 10 are against what's going on, against Dan.
And I agree with all the positive comments that everybody has made about Chief Hughes.
I think that he should be the permanent chief.
I love it, Dan. You kind of brought on the positive there.
The man works tirelessly behind the scenes. He's the kind of guy that we need in the community, running the police department. He's out there in the community, he listens.
He's committed to policing our community. There's over 140,000, over 200 employees. That's a lot to take on. It's not an easy task at all, especially the scrutiny that we are under as a city.
In addition to my own interactions with him, I have watched him numerous times in various places, interacting with people who were often angry at him at protests.
I was at that oversight committee, and he was sitting there just letting people ask him any sort of questions.
I watched him very wisely and courageously come out by himself, basically. There might have been another officer to deal with the protests. He kept everything nice and calm.
We have come a long way, and with the help and personal dedication of Captain Dan Hughes.
He has the support of the community far and wide. He reaches across racial boundaries, professional boundaries, political boundaries. He's a guy that can make bridges to various groups within this community.
Acting Chief Hughes knows this community better than any other potential chief of police could ever hope to.
And Acting Chief Dan Hughes has done a fine job with what he's had to work with over the last 10 months.
He has had an on-the-job interview for the past 10 months. He's proven his ability, integrity, his commitment to transparency, reform, and public engagement.
All of them, the majority of them, support Dan Hughes for chief.
He's been there to tell me what I needed to hear. Sometimes it doesn't make me happy, but I trust him, I believe in him, and I know that he's the man to do the job.
I saw him for his entire career. He was the ethical, the sound decision maker, the one that didn't follow others. He did the right thing his entire career.
I would recommend Dan Hughes for the position of police chief here in Fullerton, in my hometown.
It seems like the wiser decision, and more to it would provide stability. It would move us forward. As to use the cliche that someone used earlier, it seems to me that it is really a no-brainer.
I think Acting Chief Hughes' primary quality is that he cares. He cares for this community, this department, our residents, and our officers.
And nobody would do what Dan Hughes has done unless they felt called to do this. That's a rare commodity, and I would encourage you to take advantage of that.
He's made himself available so many different places. For 10 months, especially since he has been chief, he's been available to everyone. He's been transparent. He's gone anywhere. He works long hours. He works 6 days a week. And I know because I've called him, unfortunately. Sorry, Dan.
He has been available. He has been responsive. He has listened. And he deserves your support.
But when it comes to Dan Hughes, each and every single time that I've had a concern and I have called him, he has answered my questions. He's been there to talk.
He's there to talk to you. He's honest.
We need somebody who's approachable. I have not met anybody yet in this city that is more approachable than our chief of police.
But when I go home at 9 o'clock, he's still there talking to people.
I see him at all city events. That includes the Boys and Girls Club auction, Pathways to Hope. He's at the farmers market, and he stays from beginning to end.
Hughes has the support of the community. He's at all the schools, the churches, the community groups, Rotary clubs.
Probably after hours on a number of occasions. He's taken my calls, everybody's calls. If we want transparency, he's transparent. He's competent, intelligent, knowledgeable, wise. He's got great people skills. He's an excellent communicator.
He's a man of honor backed by years of experience in law enforcement. He fully supports open lines of communication and has earned the admiration and respect by the Fullerton School District as well as many members of the community.
Dan Hughes is the people's chief for what he has done and continues to do for the people of Fullerton.
Dan was a captain, and his was the first light on in the morning and the last light off at night.
You have a man that's put his heart on his sleeve. He has gone above and beyond. He's working way overtime. And believe me, I know what that's like, working 7 days a week. I know a teacher does. I'm not sure about some others.
He takes that caring and he acts upon it. He doesn't just talk about it. He puts in 80 to 100 hours a week, working 7 days a week, and no, he does not get overtime for it.
And he has been vetted for 10 months, or at least for 10 months, everybody here, all the public and all the city council meetings had ample opportunity to ask him any questions, meet with him repeatedly. And so we've had 10 months to do this. Let's enter into contract negotiation.
Chief Hughes has led this department through the toughest time, not only in its own history, but probably the history of any comparable sized department in the region.
I think the past 10 months, you've all seen Dan in action. You see what he can do. You'd be fools if you didn't hire that man. He's the best that you have out there.
If I was hiring, I'd consider myself an idiot for not bringing him on.
And for him to have started where he did in January 2012 and completely turned the community around to the point that even Kelly's Army was loving on him on August the 7th when we had the issue of putting the police services out to bid. That was quite extraordinary.
He's a great leader, and he has our respect.
He is a wanted guy, but he's still here. Why? More money, less pressure, a stable city council? Why wouldn't he take that opportunity? Because this community, Fullerton, is so important to him.
You have a rare opportunity. You've all seen him for 9 months, and you've already made up your mind whether or not you think he's worthy of being chief. Now, I'm all in favor of somebody going outside and looking for somebody else. I understand that. But when you have this kind of opportunity that you already know who this person is.
Because better than any process, I think sitting in the chair for 10 months is the best test you can have.
What assessment center interview process is going to change our mind? He's been doing it for 10 months, and he's been doing a fantastic job.
I think we need to look at the fact that real change always begins from within.
Dan Hughes has been running the department, and if it should be anybody, I think it should be somebody from this department.
He has not been acting as chief of police. He has embraced that role and has been the Fullerton chief of police.
And especially of the officers, especially the ones I've seen here this evening. He knows this city. I'm not sure why we would choose anyone else.
Which I mentioned is not an acting chief by any stretch of the word acting. He's been doing the job. Acting is something you do, once again, in Hollywood. This is not Hollywood. This is Fullerton. And the man has been doing the job.
I think we're very fortunate to have somebody that is a longtime resident of Fullerton, that you've had a chance to actually see in action and see how well he's communicated with all facets of the community.
So I beg of you, make the right decision. Quit putting this off continually.
You know, not to call anybody out, but I know, Mr. Sebourn, you're kind of the swing vote here.
Greg, please, make the right decision.
Stop the political bull. Don't say it's not a political issue and doesn't have anything to do with my upcoming vote. It does.
I think you're making a big mistake if you don't make this vote tonight.
It's on you, man. It is on you, and I trust you to listen to these people.
I trust after the discussion you will make the right and honorable decision for the voting citizens of Fullerton.
And what you see is what you get. You've seen him under a microscope for 9 months.
And I urge you to give Acting Chief Hughes an up or down vote tonight. I understand and agree that process is important.
Tabling this motion is not transparent. It does not provide leadership. It does not provide backbone. It's not fair to the voters. It's not going to affect my vote. I decided long ago. I'm an early decider. But there are people out there that will decide on this basis. And you owe it to them to let them know what you're going to do.
I think it's very unlikely that this council ultimately, after following a process, is going to find somebody that is better suited for this position than Dan.
Make him run a police department the way it should be run, and that's ethically and doing the right thing and following the law. And this is your guy to do that.
We're very fortunate to have him. Let's keep him.
And they're all 100% behind Dan, as I am.
But I want to ask you, who speaks for Fullerton? The people who are detractors of Dan or the people who are supporters of Dan? I argue that it's the people who are supporting Dan who make this community work, in our nonprofits, in our business community, in our civic organizations.
Let's move forward, not backwards, and make Dan Hughes our chief of police.
We have somebody now that can take over, and I think you should do the right thing by making Dan Hughes the chief of police.
Please listen to your community here today. Listen to your police officers and dispatchers. Do the right thing and make Dan Hughes our permanent chief of police.
And I don't know what we could do to find a better chief.
I support making that a permanent position.
It is absolutely imperative that we have a new chief that the community can get behind. And it's more than apparent that our community has pulled behind Dan Hughes.
It almost sounded tonight like we were nominating someone for a Lifetime Achievement Award, and not just the police chief. Well, Dan, I don't want to put you out to pasture with a Lifetime Achievement Award. I want us to make a management decision based upon the input from this community.
Or hire the proven commodity that is Dan Hughes.
It's kind of a no-brainer to me. I don't get it.
If we do have you be the chief, you got to eat more.
And by the way, can you please check and see if Huntington Beach is hiring? Because I would love to have you for my chief of police.
He's done so much more, and he is a very attractive guy.